encouraging, educating, and empowering you into action. This is Warriors Talk with your host, Lady ReShell.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we move away from awareness towards action. It's Health and Wellness Monday, and our topic for today is navigating holiday stress with resilience. We are live on Intellectual Radio. We just heard from the Drive at 5 with Roman. Keep it locked right here on Intellectual Radio and allow us to feed your brain. On the last episode of Warriors Talk, I discussed the importance of breast cancer survivorship. You can head over to YouTube and type in Intellectual Radio and stay connected for any episodes you may have missed. The quote of the day is, "No matter how much falls on us, we keep plowing ahead. That's the only way to keep the roads clear." And that quote is by Greg Kincaid. We are so grateful for our sponsor on today. We have Pastor Michael Richardson with the Emanuel Church of God in Christ, who has a special message for us.
Greetings, I am Pastor Michael Richardson.
And I am First Lady Anastasia Richardson from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We're located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago, Illinois. We are building upon a solid foundation.
And we're inviting you to join us every Sunday morning on Facebook Live at Emanuel COGIC at 10:15 Central Standard Time. And you can also view our videos on our YouTube channel at Emanuel COGIC-MR. Once again, this is Pastor Michael Richardson
and First Lady Anastasia Richardson. And we are from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We are building upon a solid foundation.
If you are tuned in on any form of social media, please like the show, share the show, and invite someone else in on the show that you feel may benefit from this valuable information. Our special guest today is our healthy solution expert with over 20 years experience as a family physician, and she is impacting lives every single day. Dr. Michelle Meeks. Hey, Doc.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Like we were saying, we got a dreary Monday today, but we're going to keep our spirits up and not be stressed.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's a good topic for today, considering everything that's coming up within the next month or so, that everybody can relate to and walk away with some tools that they can use to help navigate this holiday season and not let it be so stressful for them.
Yes. This is a timely topic. There are so many stresses around us right now, even without the holidays. And then you throw the holiday planning on top of it, and it just can be overwhelming. So I'm glad we're talking about it, about how to kind of navigate through it and, come out on the other side, doing okay.
Yes. Well, according to the American Psychological Association, 38% of people surveyed said that their stress increased during the holiday season.
Yeah, and I think it's probably even more than that, right? That's the people who say they're stressed, and some don't recognize that they're stressed. But I think that, there's so much that we have to do and plan and take care of during the holidays, and the stress comes from a lot of different factors, right? So you've got here almost 40% of people are reporting stress, and then it's where's that stress coming from? I think that most of those people say that finances, inflation causes a lot of their stress. And if you think about it, we've been dealing with, inflation for some time. We've all been to the grocery store and see the prices, right? And when you add on top of that, trying to plan a holiday meal, trying to shop for gifts for family and friends, that can be a little bit like really stressful, right? How do we even navigate the financial piece of the holidays, not to mention the other things, family and, time constraints and all of that?
Yes, I'm dreading going to the store for Thanksgiving. Just because I'm in the store I might as well say every other day I'm there
Right.
getting food for my family. And yes, the prices are expensive. And I'm one of those people, I like to go to the same grocery store. So I shop at Jewel, and people say, "Oh, Jewel is expensive. Why do you go to that store, but it's the store that's in my neighborhood, and it's the most convenient store for me. And I clip
Yeah.
coupons too. I don't do a lot
Yeah.
of coupon clipping, but they do have an app where you can clip coupons too, and it makes it a little better for me because I get reward points every time I do shop, and you get free items and stuff. So I'm
Right.
dreading going shopping for Thanksgiving. So that's probably one of my stressors when it comes to the holiday season is just shopping for the family for food.
Yeah, and you mentioned some great things, right? So wherever you shop, some things that you can do to decrease the cost is if they have an app or if you can go to the same store, they usually will have sort of frequent flyer discounts, right? And so using their app and getting those points can help for sure. And then I always say, make it involve the family that's coming. If you have other adults and other siblings and people coming, make it sort of a potluck, divide and conquer, right? So the whole bill is not on you. If you do have family that can sort of contribute something here or there, maybe they like to cook and contribute a dish, that will decrease the cost overall too. But that piece, I know for a lot of people is going to be a stressful part. Not only the finances of getting the ingredients, but then cooking it for the whole family too. So share the wealth amongst the family if you can.
I totally agree. Hey, Shanera. One of
Hello.
my other stressors, Doc Michelle, is the holiday season. Christmas was my dad's favorite holiday, and he would decorate the house. And when I say his house was the most lit on the block, literally.
Mm,
And so that holiday, when it comes around, I'm just sort of like in a funk because I know that that was his holiday. Like no other
yeah.
holiday he really celebrated, but when it came to Christmas, he was like a big kid. He would decorate his house with all sorts of lights and different Christmas. Um, Santa
Yeah.
Claus would be big in the yard, and so my mom, she does none of that. She may have a string of
Mm,
lights in the window, and that's it.
mhm.
So
Yeah. And that's another thing to think about because for the holidays, it can be very bittersweet for people, right? If you've had loss, not even around Christmas, or even just that year, right? And it's the first holiday without that person, you feel, that sense of loss even greater. And so to recognize that is key because when you're talking about just, feeling down, depressed, mental health, the first part of that is recognizing how you feel, acknowledging it and knowing that it's okay, right? Because when the holiday comes, when that birthday comes, whatever that is, you're going to feel sad about that. And that's okay. But also try to, in that, sprinkle in the good things and the good memories and allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling. The other piece is recognizing the people around you that might have, increased sadness or other, mental illness that are around you that you can support, right? Your friends, your family who know that you lost your dad around Christmas. Hopefully, there'll be a good support to you around the holidays, as we should be for those who are going through that as well.
absolutely. What do you feel about setting realistic expectations when it comes to the holiday season? Because I think sometimes we get lost.
Yeah, because I think, people think that the holidays are always going to be this big, happy, joyous occasion, right? We see it on TV, we see the commercials, we see the Christmas movies, and we set sometimes an unrealistic expectation for ourselves in what we are going to be able to do for our experience. And so set some realistic expectations and know that it's okay to not be able to do everything for everybody. Part of getting through the holidays is saying no right, to certain things, but set realistic expectations for yourself. Know what you can do. I know for me in the past I used to want to make everything right for everybody, right? And then at the end of that holiday season, I'm like worn out, stressed, and just beat. And then it takes some time to recover. So once I, for myself, set an expectation of, everybody's pretty happy to just be around and hanging out. first, level down is not trying to make it this big thing. Now, some people like that. Some people want to go over the top. They enjoy that. But if that's not for you, or you don't have the ability to do that physically, financially, in your home, that is okay. And know that that's all right. And that people are going to be happy just to be able to spend time with you.
I think part of doing that, you kind of mentioned it earlier, is prioritizing your well-being. If you're going to go over the top and do all of that, then make sure that you're setting aside some time to recharge yourself.
Right. Yes. That's the other thing I wanted to mention is during this holiday period, as we are doing, we're getting up, we're going to the shopping, we're going Black Friday, we're doing all these things for people. Set some time for yourself. And that has to be planned, and it has to be sort of no excuses. So I'm not going to push it aside for something else that might come up. But if you set that time to, maybe it's go get your manicure, maybe it's read a book, maybe it's take a nap, whatever that is to help you recharge, prioritize your well being. Because at the end of this holiday season, you still have to be able to function. You still want to be able to, have good health. Because one of the things that happens during the holidays is some of those medical conditions can get worse, because we know that stress, we talk about it all the time, stress increases your blood pressure, increases your cortisol, your stress hormone, which can then increase your sugar if you have diabetes. And so paying attention to what that stress is doing to your physical health is also very important.
So it's important not to neglect, because it's the holidays and you may be traveling and doing other things, not to neglect your habits your healthy habits that you have on a daily basis. So if you're in the hotel,
Yes.
see if they have a gym where you can go work out or maybe go swimming.
Right, exactly, right? Because again, we get so busy doing for others that we forget, right, to still do the things that you were doing before the holidays came. For me, I know first thing in the morning, I walk the dog. I try to get a mile in, right? And I'll walk the dog. But I'll tell you, you hear me talk all the time about exercising outdoors, which is going to be difficult here in Illinois very soon, to walk the dog for that mile. But it's important to do whatever that is that you normally do. If you have to exercise indoors on your treadmill, to get that in, but keep your healthy habits going. Try not to overdo the sweets. We talk about everywhere you turn. If you're in an office, there's candy, there's cakes, there's all sorts of things, right? And plus, there's holiday parties that we're going to. And so we have to keep in mind to keep your healthy habits going. One trick I always use before I go out is I'll eat a little snack. I'll have an apple because that has fiber and it keeps me full. And then I'll have that. I'll even have it in the car on the way out so that I'm kind of full, because we know when you're hungry, you're going to eat pretty much anything, right?
Exactly. All right. So maintain your healthy habits, even though it's the holidays, don't neglect them. And I think
Don't
you kind
neglect
of
it.
hit on, Dr. Michelle, the finance part of it, but time management when it comes to the stress of the holidays.
Yeah, and it really comes down to planning, Rochelle. It really comes down to knowing what you can do, setting those times, first of all, to do it. Try to stick with it as much as you can. And in that, also, as we said, prioritize your own things that you want to do. Because as we know, we can always sort of push ourselves to the side for the greater good, right? But sometimes you've got to prioritize yourself in that time. And then you hear people talk about every holiday season is set a budget. And this season, even more so than any other because of inflation, right? And people are going to be trying to buy presents for everyone. You may want to create a new tradition where you pick, names out of a hat and you buy for one person versus everyone, which can be hard when you have little people in your home, right? But just to think about budgeting, so that at the end of it, because we know that people come out of the holidays with much more credit card debt that they now have to deal with for the rest of the year and longer, because we know credit card debt is revolving debt that seems to never go away, especially with high interest rates and all of that. So in order to avoid all of that come the spring, think about that now and have a plan, write it down, and try to stick to it as much as you can. And as we said, involve other family members where you can to spread the wealth of costs, right? I know we sometimes would not necessarily buy presents for the adults, but if there's a lot of kids, you buy presents for the kids. You do something, more so for the adults. Maybe the parents get together after the holidays to de-stress and hang out, right? So you have to be creative with that around the holidays.
That's true, because I told my girls, y'all could give me a list, but I have a budget. So I'm going to stick to my
Right.
budget. Just write the list, whatever it is that you want. And then I'm going to go through the list and pick out. And pretty much just about every Christmas, they've gotten everything on their list. The good thing is that my girls they're not outrageous when it comes to picking
Right.
out gifts. So
Right.
I don't really have that issue. So I've gotten a list from 2 of them already. So I'm like, okay, get your list in so I can start getting stuff. And I have a budget, so I'm going to stick to that budget. And
That's right.
for my daughter and my son-in-law, now that they're married, they get one gift. So just get a gift for the house or something that both of them can enjoy. And that also cuts down costs as well.
Yeah. And a lot of people do, especially for couples, like experiences, like a gift card at a great restaurant downtown or something. It could be $25, but it's, $25 less than they would have to pay. But you think about, people are giving experience sort of gifts now, as opposed to just something tangible that they can experience, especially in these stressful times, something that is less stressful. I know I tend to give like gift certificates for a manicure, pedicure or something, right? Because sometimes you might not do that for yourself, but you can think about that as well as good options.
Well, how do you practice mindfulness going through this, or even gratitude going through the holiday season where it could be difficult?
Yes. I was just talking to my daughter about that, about just being grateful in this time, right? Because I think the holidays is a good time for people to think about gratitude, right? I think one thing that really helps people with that mindfulness or gratitude is volunteering, giving time to the less fortunate than yourself, right? If it's if your church has turkey giveaways and things like that, that sort of helps you to stay in the season and being grateful and practicing that gratitude. And then the mindfulness part, as I try to do, if I remember every day, is a little like 5-minute meditation, right? And I'll tell you, I think I talked about it at your event, is deep breath in, deep breath out. When you start to feel stressed, when you start to feel overwhelmed and you feel your heart racing, you're feeling anxious, when you start thinking about the bills and all that you have to do, I will tell you that mindfulness can help. It's really breathing in for a count of 4, breathing out for a count of 4, and doing that for about a minute or 2 really can help really decrease the anxiety and the stress hormones in your bloodstream. And I definitely recommend that for anyone when you're feeling nervous, anxious, overwhelmed.
So how does it, I know it impacts your blood pressure as far as like the holiday stress. But how does it physically, like what are some of the, other than high blood pressure, what are some of the other maybe physical ailments that people may go through dealing with holiday stress?
Yeah. I mean, it can really affect any organ, right? I think about GI upset, right? And you feel, diarrhea, you feel queasy, you feel nauseous, right? You can have headaches, you can have dizziness. Poor sleep is one that we see a lot, right? I think I read that 70% of people say that their sleep is affected during the holidays, right? Because you have so much on your mind. So we know that physically, it really does affect us in those ways. Emotionally, you can either be more irritable, you can be grumpy, tearful. There's so many things that, we experience. And I think for people around us to recognize that, people may be going through this. They not going to really talk about it because they're like, well, why am I going to tell people I'm stressed out or anxious or feeling a certain way when they may be going through it themselves? But I think all those organs can be affected. Like as I said, sleep, people will grind their teeth at night and not know it, but they'll wake up with achiness in their jaw. And it's because they're clenching their teeth, grinding their teeth. All those things physically happen to our bodies when we're stressed out. We know about blood pressure. We've talked about that a lot.
Wow. How can you communicate and set healthy boundaries when it comes to, because everybody's going to be pulling you in all different directions when it comes to the holidays?
Yes, yes. That is very important to be open and have an open dialogue with your family and friends. And I mentioned earlier in the show about saying no, right? There's certain things that you just may not be able to do, can't go to every event, and say no, but say no and let them know that maybe after the holidays we can get together if it's something that someone is inviting you to, and just let them know that right now, because of the things that you have going on, that you just can't do it. You can't be, and that's going places, but that's also financially, like you said, set a budget and say no to certain things. And that saying no is very much a release of stress and tension, right? But you have to, in yourself, be okay with that too, right? It's okay to say no. And it's okay to understand that that's putting yourself first, prioritizing yourself, and not being selfish, but just prioritizing yourself.
Oh, yeah, that can be hard, especially around the
It's not
holidays.
easy.
It's
Yeah, it's
not.
not easy, right? But having a plan and going into the holidays, and that's why I'm glad we're having this conversation now, even before Thanksgiving, right? Because it's going to come. Thanksgiving, I'll say, it's sort of the easier holiday because we have the big meal, which, as I said, get everybody involved, make it a potluck and things like that to decrease the finances. But then after Thanksgiving, there's another whole 30 days of stress on this build up to Christmas, right? To that holiday season. And you think about it, if you are under stress for 30 days, that
Mm.
becomes chronic stress, right? It's not like the acute stress of maybe a car accident. It happened, it's over, your adrenaline goes up, and then it comes back down and you feel better. You're living under chronic stress for pretty much 30 days, right? And that, if you think about it, it's going to affect those systems. It's going to affect your sleep. It's going to affect your blood pressure. You're going to overeat sometimes because the cortisol in your system now makes you want to overeat. It affects your sleep, all of that. Headaches, migraines get worse. So
How can individuals avoid feeling guilty about overindulging for the holidays? Because I think we all do it.
yeah. And is that overindulging from a
It could be overindulging in treats, and just maybe you're skipping a workout because you don't feel like it, you're tired, so
yeah,
you're
yeah.
overindulging in the wrong things.
Yeah. It's okay. Forgive yourself for that lapse, for that day, and then get back on the horse. It's kind of like when we talk about something like quitting smoking, right? People lapse, they relapse, they have a cigarette, and we say, well, that doesn't mean the jig is up, right? Forgive yourself. You had a cigarette, you had that piece of cake. It's okay, get back on your healthy habits, right? Get back on no cigarettes. So it's the same sort of thing with going through the holidays and feeling guilty because maybe you do overeat. It's all a balance. It's all a balance. Even when I talk to patients about healthy eating in general, not even just around the holidays, I talk about I'm not asking you to give up everything that you love and enjoy. I'm asking you to create a balance, right? So if today, you had cake and ice cream, it's the holiday party or whatever, that's okay. Enjoy the holiday party. That's how I see it. Enjoy the holiday party, knowing that you're going to get back with your healthy habits the next day and get back on track, right? It is the holidays. We want it to be fun. We don't want you to be thinking about, oh, I can't have this, I can't have that all the time. But it's definitely a balance in what you should be doing. And that goes for not just food, but alcohol, because we know that alcohol during the holidays can be free flowing. And so you want to be sure that you are mindful of that. We know that substance abuse use can increase around the holidays, right? And that's simple, like drinking more than you're used to, or for those people who, use other substances that can increase. And sometimes, as you're saying, as you show here, it's to avoid other feelings, right? Because people use alcohol and drugs um, to numb their feelings about other things. Like you said, if it's a sad time for you, you might turn to alcohol to get through that. And we want you to not do that. We want you to communicate your feelings, maybe talk to a professional if needed, and recognize that, what you're doing is outside of your norm.
That was going to be my next question. Like, what advice do you have for those who may feel lonely or isolated during the holidays? Some people may live alone and they just don't have any, immediate
Yeah,
family, or the family may not be close. And so that time
right.
of year, they feel isolated or they
Yeah.
isolate themselves.
Yeah. Well, if you're feeling very depressed, and you have thoughts of harming yourself, for sure, we want you to talk to someone professional, right? And then I think if you are, because we know that people, let alone seniors, can get very isolated around the holiday times. Um, it's important for the rest of us to sort of remember that and include and reach out to seniors around this time, because they may not be reaching out, or they're isolated in their homes or such. But if you're feeling that way, it's hard to, if you're in that mode of feeling isolated, to yourself kind of motivate yourself to step out, right? Sometimes we say just do it, like the slogan, but it's hard to do that, right? And so it takes others, and that's why other churches and community organizations really around the holidays make extra effort to connect with senior buildings, with seniors in the community, because they know they get isolated around that time. And seniors can be more depressed, and we know seniors also can complete suicide attempts as well. And so it's important for us to recognize that. And if you have seniors in your family, make a conscious effort to outreach them. One of the great things about technology is even just FaceTiming a senior, if they know how to use it, helps to connect them with us. A phone call. I have aunts, my mom passed at 88. So I have aunts who are in their 80s, and I make sure to call them, right? Because they've got kids, but yeah, they feel a little isolated. They're like, oh, my kids are busy doing their thing. Well, I'm going to call you across the miles just to say hello, have a 5-minute conversation. It can lift them for that moment and beyond, to know that someone is thinking about them. So I think those are the things that we can do to help others through the holiday season.
You mentioned suicide, and in the US, the rate increased in 2021 after a 2-year decline. But they said the average daily suicide rate during the holiday months remained to be the lowest during the year. I think sometimes people think the holiday time is when people, they don't want to be here, so they end up checking out.
Right,
But
right. Yeah, I think studies show that suicide rates increase after the holidays. I think maybe it's part two of recognizing everything, right? Oh, I'm now in more debt because maybe I overspent and, all of that. But the springtime, I think they see even more a bump in suicide rates because of, those things I think that happen. There's a high for some, right? It feels good. It's the holidays. We've got the lights and the music and everything is happy for some. And then there's this down, right? Family is now gone back. They may have come to visit you, but now they've gone back to their lives, and you come from this high, and then there's this low, and that's important to recognize that as well, and stay in contact with those family.
Yes. Hey, you guys, if you are tuned in to Warriors Talk, I'm speaking with Dr. Michelle Meeks, and we're talking about navigating holiday stress with resilience. And many of us have experienced, I don't want to say, some people go through the holiday blues, but we know the holiday blues should last just for that season, that holiday season. But if you are experiencing anything after that, any type of mental health issues after that, then you should be seeking some type of help versus trying to navigate it yourself.
Yes, yes. We know for people who have mental illness can have more severe symptoms during the holidays. But as you said, the holiday blues is a little bit different, right? That's through the holidays. Maybe there's events that happen that make you feel down. You're missing a loved one, and the days are shorter, and that seasonal affective disorder can add to the blues. But that should resolve, after the holidays, after the 30 days, through the holidays. If it's lingering, you're into month 2, 3, and you're still feeling down, that might be more chronic depression, in which case you should talk with someone, right? And I think sometimes with depression, I find this a lot with patients, is if you're always feeling low, you just think that's how it should be, right? But there's a level up from that where you should be feeling better. And if you're always feeling down and sad, you think that's just how life is. And that's where providers come in, and getting back to seeing your doctor, because we do mental health evaluations. We have questions that we can ask, and that will let us know whether is this just the blues, of the holiday season, or is there more chronic depression that needs to be addressed? So also make sure you're seeing your provider at least once a year, and especially as the new year comes, to make those appointments.
When it comes to family and social dynamics, how can parents actually support their children who may be trying to navigate this holiday season as well?
Yes, because we sometimes think just adults can have issues around the holidays, but children, the kids, teenagers also have depression around the holidays and those holiday stressors. And so it's important for parents to look for changes in your child's behavior, actions. Are they doing or acting any differently? Are they not doing the things that they normally enjoy doing? Going out with their friends, right? Going to the movies, whatever that is, that it's their normal activity. If things are changing, that's when you want to be more proactive in either having a conversation with that child or teen, or at least taking them into their provider to get an actual evaluation done. Because we know kids, and especially teenagers, tweens, are not open to talking about their feelings, right? But it's where the parents can look for subtle changes in their child, right? That you may pick up on that if they're not eating as much, if they're spending more time in their room. We know they spend lots of time in their rooms anyway, but more times in their room. And then the big thing is really just not doing those things that they normally would do for fun.
Talk about simplifying your traditions when it comes to the holiday season, because it can be overwhelming when you're being pulled in different directions to do different things.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what we were talking about is don't make things too complicated for your experience, for your holiday experience, because we try to do everything for everyone and simplifying things. Think about what it is that you want to do for the holidays for your family. Write it down, right? And I remember that I think it was years ago. I forget where I was, but they always would talk about, well, what's your family tradition around Christmas, right? And I felt like, well, we didn't really have a tradition necessarily, but we would always get together. We would open one Christmas gift on Christmas Eve. And so you can think about simple things that are your tradition um, to make it even more special for your family. But really, it's simplified things when we talk about who in the family can help you make a plan, decrease the stress, spread the activity, make it more of a sort of a group effort. If there's two or three that can sort of simplify the cooking, the shopping, the time things that need to be done. But I think the main thing, ReShell, is when you're going into the holiday is have a plan. Have a plan on your budget, the time, what you're going to do for yourself. Are there certain things or people that are a must see or a must do? Put that at the top of your priority list. And then everything else kind of falls below that. And in your own mind, know that it's okay if certain things fall outside of that, if you're not able to do those things, right? Because we still have to work, live life, take care of all the other things that we have to do. And then we throw the holidays on top of it and we try to make it absolutely perfect for everyone. And it adds a lot of stress, right? And so knowing that whatever you're doing for your experience is okay. And people are just happy to sort of be, with you and have the experience, and you don't have to make it, quote, perfect.
One of the questions I was going to ask, and you just answered it, was how can individuals balance their holiday obligations and the work responsibilities to avoid burnout? Because a lot of times we do get burnt out around this time because we're trying to do and be everything for everybody.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the thing that helps me is have a plan, say no to the things that are not a priority, right? And know that it's okay. And then in the end, so one thing that I've learned to do probably in the last few years, I would say, if someone asks me to do something and I know that I really don't have the time to do it, and I just don't want to say no, I'll say, you know what, I can't do it Friday at 5 o'clock, but I can do it next week at, whatever time. Or you say, you know what, I'm so busy this holiday season, I just can't do it, but let's connect the second week of January or whatever that is, right? When it's around this time. But what has worked for me just in general is if I have to say no, I will say no, and no, I can't do it now on this date that you requested, but I can do it this date. And that allows me to have some control over what I'm doing, my schedule, which is very freeing and decreases my stress, right? Because even though I know I have to say I can't do it, I can give you another time when I can do it. And usually that works out well for both parties. And so think about that through the holidays, right? You know what? I'm so swamped these holiday, I can't do it this day, but for sure I'm going to put you on my calendar to reconnect with you after the holidays, And if someone understands you and that things are hectic around this time, that should be okay.
Right. They should be understanding.
Yes.
What advice would you give healthcare professionals or caregivers managing their own stress while supporting others during the holiday season?
Yes. We didn't even touch on being a caregiver during the holiday season, right? I think it's stressful to be a caregiver itself, right? Regardless of the time of year. I think that around the holiday season, it's okay to give yourself permission to not be able to do everything for that person. It's sort of the same thing that we talk about with taking time and saying no, right? When my mother was alive and I was her caregiver, I knew what the main things were that needed to be taken care of, and I'm going to take care of those things. And but if there's certain other things that you can't find time for, that's okay. Because even in the midst of being a caregiver, I'm always talking about taking care of yourself anyway, right? But now, in the midst of being a caregiver in the holiday season, with all that stress, even more important to take care of yourself. And yes, focus on the things that you can control and the things that are really that are the must do's, and the rest can wait. Right. And we know what that is. As we think about it, you'll know what that is, right? What are the things that I have to do that I can control, and then the rest can wait, right? And be okay with that. 'Cause that's the hard part. You got to be okay with that part, and then take time for yourself. And that's difficult to do, is to say no and to put things aside and really be okay with it. Yes.
What about celebrating like small celebrations? Because a lot of times we like to do a big celebration. Everybody's coming to one house, and some people may feel anxiety when it comes to having a big family celebration. So instead of doing that, have like little mini celebrations along the way. Then that way, I don't know if that would be more stressful than having the big one itself.
Yeah, that depends on what works for that family, right? Do you want to do everything all at once, or do you want to do small celebrations at different homes so everyone has an opportunity to participate? But I think celebrating in small ways is good, because not every celebration needs to be a big affair, right? As I said, I think the most important part of the holidays is really just being with friends and family. I think was that last year, my I went to a friendsgiving, right, where you just everybody bringing a little dish, okay, a little something. It's more of a potluck, and that is more of a great way to involve everyone and take the stress off of you, right? Or you can just have a small celebration with your immediate family that's in your home, and that's okay too, right? You don't have to have a big celebration where all the family comes over. If that's too much, and especially in this time of financial stress, it's kind of like when we were in COVID, right? You had to have your own pod of celebration because you couldn't go over to others' homes, right? And some people still do that. They actually found that they liked it, right? You can just have your four, five, six people that are your core group of family in your own home. And then you can sometimes push going to other family till after the holidays, or you do some FaceTime phone calls while everyone is eating, right? Because that's one of the things we did during COVID. If you recall that, if you couldn't get together, then around the dinner time, everyone would be on a FaceTime, right? And so that sort of included everyone throughout the different homes to sort of be connected at that time. So you got to be creative with it too. But the point of the holidays is to not stress yourself out trying to do everything for everyone.
I can remember on Thanksgiving, we used to come to my mom's house. So we would do it after 4 o'clock. That way you can have Thanksgiving with, if you had to go to someone else's house, if you were married or whatever, then at 4 o'clock, everybody know to be at my mom's house. And we did that for years and years. And then we stopped doing it, and everybody just do their own thing on Thanksgiving. And then we started coming together the day after Christmas, like maybe whatever that weekend after Christmas would be, we would all get together and just bring, everybody bring something, and we celebrate that way. And then
Yeah.
that way it wouldn't be so stressful on everybody trying to go here, go there, go
Right.
there. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly, exactly. On the day, you just have your sort of core family. And then maybe the day after, the weekend after, the week after, you can go visit others, right? Because we know that the day after Christmas, the stress level, right, it drops a bit. You can exhale, everything is done, and then you feel a little bit better about going and, spending some time with others, other family.
What about personal triggers when it comes to the holiday season? Because some people get triggered by the holiday.
Yeah, you talked about that, right? With knowing that you had the death of your dad around that time. Even, my mom passed in June, but when the holidays come, you feel it more, right? And that recognizing those things is important, right? If it's either we didn't even talk about when family gets together and it's not a good thing, right? That things happen, right? Different history of whatever comes together, and we're supposed to all be one big happy family, but we know family has histories, right? And sometimes it's not all good, and so those things can be triggers and as well. And so recognizing what could happen if I bring everyone together for one thing, is that going to trigger a bad experience, which goes back to what you were saying, which is maybe we just have a core and then maybe we go and we do something with the others and so forth, so that in the end it's a happy experience for everyone. But recognizing the emotional triggers is key, right? What will happen if I bring everyone together? And then what happens for me every time around the holidays? Do I feel sad? Do I feel angry? Recognizing that, so that what things work for you when you feel that way. Maybe it's talking with someone, maybe it's talking with a friend, maybe it's, the other things that helps lift mood, exercising, all of that. But recognizing those triggers and what will work to keep your holiday happy is key.
Awesome. I was about to ask you to give me some words of wisdom as it relates to navigating the holiday stress with resilience, but it seemed like you already have. But if you have anything else to add that would be beneficial to someone.
Yeah, I think we really talked about it, right? It's setting the right expectations for your holiday season, knowing that for yourself, you want to prioritize your own health and well-being, as well as doing for everyone. So part of that is planning. Part of that is planning your finances, planning the time, and planning time for yourself, right? Creating and still doing your healthy habits. That's also key. So all I can say is enjoy the holiday season. Try not to stress. Try to prioritize the things that are important, that are the must-dos, and take time for yourself.
Great advice. And how can anyone stay connected with you?
Yep, they can find me on Facebook at Doc Michelle, just like my name there. They can also tag me on your page as well. I am available for any events, speaking engagements, and things like that. They can reach me through Facebook.
Thank you so much, Doc Michelle. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
You're
Happy
welcome.
holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you. You guys don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, you guys. Coming up next on Intellectual Radio is Pillow Talk with God. And I want to highlight my sponsor. I have Gloria Dotson with Mary Kay, and she's catering to all of your beauty needs from head to toe. You can go to marykay.com/GDOTSON. Also, if you would like to be a guest on Warriors Talk and share your testimony, just inbox me or email me. I'm ready, and we would love to hear your survivor story. And I will leave you with these words of wisdom. The greatest glory in living lies not never in falling, but in rising every time we fall. And that quote is by Nelson Mandela. Join me next Monday right here on Intellectual Radio at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. As always, thank you for tuning in to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we are changing lives one warrior at a time.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell. To find out more about Warriors Talk, Follow at Warriors Talk, the number 1, on all social media outlets, and Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell on YouTube. Please join us next week and every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on IntellectualRadio.com for ReShell, where we encourage, educate, and empower you into action.